Well, we're here. We've made it this far into our lives for another Marilyn Monroe movie to come out to exploit this girl's trauma and do absolutely nothing to make her a well-rounded character or icon of pop culture. So Blonde, yeah, Blonde is out. Andrew Dominique, this director who has pretty much been jerking himself off since the release of this film. I just saw a statement where he's like, this is one of the best films ever made. So he made this movie about Marilyn Monroe. You remember Norma Jean Baker, this classically trained Hollywood actress who had a terrible life, and we all exploited her and the world ruined her. And I've talked endlessly about the character. I've talked about all her films, and I talked about our obsession with her. I don't want to get too much into that. What I want to talk about is Blonde, which is this film I remember being genuinely curious by. Ana de Armas on paper is not an actress I would have pinned for this role because she's not white, I guess, but, you know, black and white, who can tell the difference? There is so much about this film I dislike. I hate it, actually. I really hate this film. I hate what it's trying to say. And I'm glad I'm not alone in this feeling. There has been mixed reviews, especially coming out of some festivals recently where there's these critics who are just, this is awesome, this is such a poignant story. And other ones are like, this is such shit, derivative bullshit. Why do we keep hiring men to tell this woman's story? And I can't disagree with that one. This is the entire life of Norma Jean, the entire life of Marilyn Monroe. Starts off with some tragic shit with her parents. Her mom's like, this is your daddy. This is going to be the driving force for your entire life. To the fucking point where she calls every single man in her life daddy, which is the worst thing I've ever heard in my life. So annoying and bland and dumb. And it just goes to her death, and it is just this insane ride along the way. First off, I get it. I get wanting to do this. Hollywood loves to, again, jerk itself off and talk about how cool it is. There's always an awards play when it comes to these kind of things. The problem with this movie, and something that I think is becoming a lot more noticeable in these type of stories, I give it something like Pam and Tommy, something like Mike, something like The New Dahmer Show, something, you know, there's a lot of those ones in this vein where you think you're telling these important, impactful stories and telling people this important message, but what you're really doing is not highlighting anything other than the character's misery and their trauma, and that is not interesting. So you think because you're being this kind of like dark and you're telling like this really intense story that it gives you the freeway to portray these things in a more interesting, like romantic light, but it doesn't. That's one of my biggest problems with this film. Is the character of Marilyn that we are seeing is either topless in every scene, shown as this sex object in every scene, or has no real thought or feeling. Things just happen to her and she is like a complicit little angel who doesn't do anything about it. And I'm like, what is the point of telling that story then? Like, we understand the tragedy. This isn't helping her image. You're not, it's like, you want to say these things are bad, but you're not doing anything to counteract or say anything against the things that happen to her. Just showing them is not giving it any agency. It's not giving her any agency. You're just exploiting this girl's trauma again, you know? And that really sucks. And that is so pointless. And you top that on with the most fucking annoying use of camera work I've ever seen. This is like, you could tell when a filmmaker thinks they're going to be getting like the award nom, and what Andrew is doing here is really just trying to be more artsy and fartsy than he actually is. So many weird camera choices, so many like these weird ethereal shots, so many of these pointless movements where we're just spending time in like this bubble or this glass picture, and it's infuriating and doesn't add to anything. You are focusing on all the wrong things of this story. Ana de Armas, who I have nothing really to say about her, honestly. Like, just what she was saying, like, I had to go to Marilyn's grave and ask permission to do this. Like, fuck off. You're not doing... And your performance is so weird. It's not even, like, the good kind of weird where I'm seeing something happen. It's just so bland, you know? You are so mixed on the accent. There are moments where you look like Marilyn, and there's some where you just look like Ana de Armas, and you don't see any difference in anything you're doing. It's very infuriating that way. I will say, when you get like Bobby Cannavale and Adrian Brody to show up to play two important figures in her life, they are used sparingly and effectively. I have no real criticism with them other than it doesn't matter. Like, the story actively is telling you that they don't matter. And the thing is, I wanted to sit here and just ramble on about this film forever, because that is the vibe I got from other critics who were just talking about this film, where it's like, you're going to have a lot to discuss, but honestly, there isn't any. It's just trash. It is drivel and trash and way too arrogant for its own good. It thinks it's this compelling piece that's telling this dramatic story, when actually it's just portraying this woman as the over-sexualized, traumatic, broken person she was, and you're not adding anything to the narrative or telling us anything new. You are just adding fuel to the fire with these actors and this like workload and director who think they are just like God's gift to Marilyn, thinking they're telling her story authentically and beautifully. It is bullshit, and it's derivative, and it's so annoying. And I genuinely dislike everything that this film was trying to say. It has nothing compelling to talk about. It is just trashy, you know? When a film is intentionally trying to be this artful piece of cinema where it's like there's a fucking fetus that talks to her like, "Are you going to kill me this time, mommy?" Like, what are you doing? What was the point of that? There's nothing to add to that story. It is just so frustratingly bad, because I say I want a good Marilyn Monroe biopic, but what I really want to say is I want this girl's life to be left alone. This could be a whole other topic of exploitation of women's trauma in Hollywood and these stories, and how we use that to make these gravitas performances. But it sucks. This thing is under 3 hours, like just under 3 hours. You feel every second of it. And it's not even like it's fun. There are quiet moments that have nothing of interest or relevance to anything going on. For some dramatic reason, I don't know why, the director insists on switching upon story styles where it's like, it's in colors in black and white. It's 9:16 aspect ratio. It's 4:3 aspect ratio. Like, there is seemingly no reason for it. It is so frustrating, and to go alongside the frustration, I'm going to be switching the color and aspect ratio in this video randomly, and you're not going to know about it until right now. I can't stand this film. It's everything I hate about these stories, everything I hate about doing this. Marilyn has openly said in interviews she doesn't want this to happen to her, and this is exactly what she would hate about these kind of movies, that they really just fucked this up poorly. What a frustrating time. What a frustrating time to watch a film. Oh, it's so lame. It's just so lame, and it's boring, and it's long, and nobody is worth interesting. If this gets the Oscar push, I will be surprised, because Ana de Armas, this is not a good role for you, honey. This is something you shouldn't have done. This is not a topic that should be touched by a male director who has her topless in half the scenes, who glorifies the rape scenes. Like, why are we making this today? I don't understand. Nothing positive to say. Some decent writing in very specific moments, but the truth of the matter, aside from all of that bullshit, is a lot of this movie is not accurate or factual to events that occurred in her life. So, what the fuck was the point? Blonde, I'm giving a 2 out of 10. So thank you guys for watching this review. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. As always, you can check me out on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. And as always, I will catch you in the next one. Have fun, stay safe, good luck.